All right, so I wrote this one on the plane, but I was thinking about if I had to become a club promoter again in 2024, if I'd lost all of my financial resources, all of my like connections, all the people that I've met over the years, all of the skills that I've accumulated, if I had to start from like absolute scratch, which I know is a lot of you guys that watch this channel, this is what I'd do. And I wrote out a couple of steps on the plane on the way here to Melbourne, hence why I don't have my usual camera setup. So the first thing I'd do is I would start learning online advertising skills on YouTube. I would start this first because it's going to take you the longest. What you don't want to do is like get your promoter team, get your event together, and then go, all right, now I need to learn how to do Facebook ads or Instagram ads or like TikTok ads or something like that, right? Depending on what platform you want to use. Because it's going to take you the longest. Like you don't want to be an absolute beginner by the time you get to launching your event. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling and the clock's already going to be ticking, right? We want to start this first. Just go on YouTube. There's plenty of like expensive courses out there. But again, I'm assuming that I've lost all of my money and then I'm literally starting with like absolute zero. Just YouTube. I know I haven't done any tutorials yet on like running ads for events, which I'm going to do soon. I just don't want to do them badly, and teaching these skills takes time. But there's plenty of already other resources out there. If I had to pick platforms, I would learn Meta and TikTok advertising. I'd prioritize TikTok if your demographic was like 18 to 21, but I definitely wouldn't neglect Meta because it's kind of the bread and butter. I know there's plenty of stuff out there recently that TikTok might get banned, whatever. The second thing that I would do is start learning sales and influence again on YouTube. This kind of goes hand in hand with online advertising, and it's going to also come in handy when you start building a promoter team. You're going to notice as I progress through these steps, some of the later steps, they're kind of dependent on you doing these first ones. So you had to go through this in a very chronological order. Third thing that I would do is decide what kind of event that I want to run, because this will dictate not only the next step, but basically every single step after that. So what that means is, are you going to be a drum and bass event? Are you going to be a tech house event? Are you going to be like an emo night? Are you going to be a throwback night? Like just pick what event you want to do. Try not to trend chase too much. So like if you're like, oh, drum and bass is really popping off, I want to do a drum and bass event. If you really want to do drum and bass event, sure, absolutely go for it. But don't do it just because you're hopping onto the trend. You need to, like when things get tough, you don't want to be like, fucking hell, why am I even doing this? I don't even like this fucking music. And the passion will be what helps you when things get really, really tough. Fourth thing that I'll do is start networking in groups and communities relevant to that event. So for example, I'll use a drum and bass event throughout this example, but if I wanted to run a drum and bass event in Perth, there's literally a Facebook group called Drum and Bass. I think it's just Perth Drum and Bass or something like that. Try and find like online communities where people that listen to this sort of music hang out, and then just add yourself to the group and just start like commenting and engaging and replying to people in that community, just so that your profile pops up a bunch. And then what's going to happen is if you start adding those people on Facebook, eventually the people you may know algorithm is going to start like recommending you to people and things like that. Same with like Instagram. So if there's lots of Instagram accounts about this stuff, go in and start engaging with those ones, or like other, this one's cheeky, but start engaging with like other rival events like social media, because then you'll start seeing their promoters and their DJs popping up in like your people you may know kind of thing. So just find out where the people that the people that would go to your event hang out, and then just start engaging with them. Fifth one, very similar to the last one, but start networking and engaging with like influential or important figures in that niche. So start liking posts, replying to stories. Instagram's probably the best way to do this, because what you can do is if you just like follow a bunch of artists in your city, you can start liking and like replying to their stories, and then eventually you'll be able to strike up a conversation with this. I will give an example. I won't name the girl, but this girl I'm friends with, she's very like young, and she's very clever as well. Like she's very intelligent and well-spoken for age. She's like early 20s. She was telling me, she's like, yeah, I kind of know the power that I have as a girl, because whenever she can get backstage to literally any event, doesn't matter if they're like an international rapper, she'll get backstage at it. And she's actually just genuinely a fan of the music. She's not out there being a hoe or anything like that. She just likes this music. Like she can get backstage to, I probably shouldn't say because then it might give away, like big international rappers that she's fans of. And what she'll do is she'll follow that rapper's DJ on Instagram, like 3 of their posts in a row, and then they'll see that, see she's a pretty girl, and then follow her back, and then be like, oh, where are you from? Like, oh, I'm Perth. Oh, no way, I'm going to be there in like 2 weeks' time, then she can backstage short, right? And so that's obviously an extreme example. I know like 98.2% of my like YouTube subscribers is a male audience, but doing things like that is just a really easy way to connect with people in your industry. I probably should have come up with a better male example because I know 98% of you guys are guys. My YouTube analytics tells me, but just start connecting with those people like on Instagram, like the influential figures, not just like patrons and things like that. So that was step 5. Step 6 is start trying to link up with these people in real life, seemingly coincidentally. So what that means is not reaching out to them on Instagram and saying, hey man, do you want to get a coffee or something? Like, it's too not confrontational, it's too forward, because it's like, okay, like what do you want? Whereas if you are just out at the same club at the same time, you can kind of like link up with each other, and then if you only talk for 5 minutes and you can go off into the dance floor, but it's less confrontational. So start trying to link up with these people, both from step 5, networking and engaging with like the artists and promoters and venue managers and stuff like that, and step 4, which is just like general patrons in the community, start linking up with them in real life. Step 7 is plan your event brand. So like start going, what's the name going to be? What's the theme going to be? What's the music policy going to be? What's the drink specials going to be? What are some venues we want to do this at? So to start planning the event brand and the overall vision. Doesn't need to be too specific on like creating pieces of content, but you want like a plan on a page of what your vision is for this event, right? Step 8, find a small venue and present that brand to them. I would cap it at like, don't go too balls to the wall at the start, because firstly, this is your first event, so you don't know what you're fucking doing. So try and find like a 200 or like 300 cap venue that will hold your event. Now, the reason I wanted to do like a small 200 or 300 cap venue is it's better that the event on the night is like a small venue and packed, rather than a large venue and there's like lots of empty pockets and stuff like that, right? People don't perceive the quantity of people there, they just perceive the like spaces between them, right? So you might have 600 people, but if it's at a 1,000 cap venue, it's going to feel quiet. But if you have like 150 people in a 200 cap room, or 200 people in a 200 cap room, it's gonna be big. The other thing as well is the venue. Fucking no venues stick by their capacity fucking rules. If you get a 200 cap venue, the manager is going to fucking squeeze 250 or 300 people in there, and then it'll be a fucking sick party. Like, that is a way better outcome than trying to fill a 1,000 people. It's just too ambitious. Just like lower your expectations and then exceed them for everybody. Step 9, come up with a promoter incentive scheme. I get questions about this a lot. It could be a number of different things. So it could be you get a drink token at the next event for every person that comes on your guest list after like 5 people. It could be a drink token for every person that comes. Do not do a salary. There needs to be an incentive. It could be like free entry for you and 5 friends, or free entry for you. Like, come up with something that is basically pay per performance, right? Like, so if someone doesn't bring anyone, you're not out of pocket anything. Okay, so come up with whatever that is. You might be able to liaise with the venue and be like, hey, look, this is our first event. Like, what can you guys do? How many drink tokens can you give us? Can we buy drink tokens for you at a discount? Things like that. Step 10, recruit promoters. This should be easy if you did steps 2, 4, and 5 correctly. So remember, step 2 was learning sales and influence. Step 4 was networking with like patrons and fans of the music. Step 5 was networking with like other promoters and DJs and artists and things like that, right? Should also be easy if you just watched my previous YouTube video. Step 11, run a promoter party and get them excited. Capture a bunch of content to promote the launch night of the event. So one mistake I made for the first couple of events I ran was I wouldn't like meet the promoters in real life. I just like put out a post and be like, hey, who wants to be promoted? Then just message them and then expect them to do well at all without meeting them. Their enthusiasm about the event will go from a 2 to a fucking 9 or a 10 if things are just real. They're not just messages. If like they come to a party and they meet you and they meet all the other promoters, it becomes much more real for them and they get more excited. So do some kind of promoter party, get them excited. And if you watch 2 videos ago, I talked about that kind of secret strategy there, where you get them far more excited because no one's excited by the promoter that is saying, yeah, like it will be okay. Like this, not my first event, or it's my first event, so I don't know how it's going to go. Like your enthusiasm levels need to be like, I don't know why anyone else would bother opening a club on this night when we're on. Obviously, everyone is going to come to us. We're just going to obliterate everyone. I don't know why anyone else would even bother. That's the kind of enthusiasm and conviction that you need to have. Cool. Step 12 is launch the event socials. So only do this after you've done the promoter party, because the launch is so critical. I can't emphasize enough how important the launch phase of your event is, because it's literally the lead domo to everything else in the event. If you fumble this, it will fumble everything else, and it's so hard to save. There's so many times promoters have come to my agency and be like, oh, like, can you kind of save like the last couple of weeks? I'm like, no, it's fucked. You fucked up the first bit, right? So just make sure that you do the promoter party beforehand, because that's when you're going to be in and share it and be enthusiastic and stuff like that. And that will be they'll perform much better in the launch phase if you've done that promoter party first, because now they're excited and they're all engaging with each other and stuff like that, right? Step 13, run a small budget of ads on a single piece of launch video content to run up the engagement. Now, this should be easy if you did step 1. And also, do a video for your launch event, because on Meta and I think TikTok as well, you can retarget based on video views. So if you do like a poster and you retarget based on engagement, you can only retarget the people that liked or commented on something. But if you do a video retarget, you can retarget anyone that watched like 3 seconds of the video. So, and it's just like significantly larger. So, and also video is just more engaging in 2024, obviously, right? So run a small budget of ads on a single piece of launch content, because then it accumulates all the social proof on like one piece of content. So whenever anyone visits the page and it's pinned to the top, they go, oh, look at all these people liking and commenting, engaging. They all must be coming, right? So it's just social proof on like, you're better off having a fuckload of social proof on a single piece of content for the launch than you are having a bunch of little bits of engagement across like a dozen. That it might, even if like across the dozen of individual pieces of content, it nets more than the single piece of content. Just having a lot of engagement on one single piece of content is really, really important. Step 14. Oh, also, sorry, back to step 13. You'll notice I didn't specify TikTok or Meta or both, because it depends on your audience. Younger audience, TikTok. Older audience, Meta. But you can also obviously just do both. More often than not, we do both. Step 14, retarget them from your like step 13 in the lead up to the event with more content. So basically, if you saw 3 seconds of this video, you're going to keep seeing more things. It creates an illusion of omnipresence, which is just like, why are these guys everywhere? I keep seeing them all the time. Interesting little side note. Back in the 70s or 80s, some of you might have seen my Instagram reel of I was talking at some event. Basically, in the 70s or the 80s, they did a little experiment with some uni students where they took them into a room and they laid out a bunch of like symbols and icons and things like that. And then they flashed them up fast enough, like on a screen, flashed them up fast enough that they could at least recognize what the shape was, but slow enough so they could recognize the shape, fast enough that they wouldn't know which one they saw the most. And then they took them into another room and they asked them which of these, and they had all the icons laid out. And they go, which of these do you like the most? And they pretty consistently picked the icon of the logo that they saw the most without knowing that they actually saw it the most. And so what it actually shows is the more you see something, the more that you like it. So I have this ongoing joke that I always have with my friends where you don't really like your friends and family. They've just served you the most impressions across your lifetime. And so that's what retargeting does. It's like, you saw the launch piece of content. Now I'm going to keep showing you more pieces of content, just so it increases their affinity between, having seen you once to seeing you like 22 fucking times, right? So that was step 14, retarget them in the lead up to the event with more content. You might need to retarget them with ticket sales or something like that. Step 15, hold a promoter pre-party in the venue an hour before opening, so there's already warm bodies in the door. So the awkward thing about any first club event is obviously no one wants to be the first person there. So, and then when they do come in, it's like empty and it's awkward. So if you can do a promoter pre-party, get like 50 people in there, just offer like buy 2 bottles of vodka for them to share, there's already like a vibe in the party when the first people come in, and then you're already off to a good start. Step 16, capture as much photo and video content as you possibly can on that night. Like, you need a photographer, you need a videographer, like fucking stage content if you need to. Because the hardest part about launching an event is you don't have any content from previous events to promote the event. And so now this is your fucking best opportunity. Like, if you fumble this, you're gonna fuck up promoting the next event, or it's gonna be so much harder, right? You need to like stage content if you have to. So, oh, here's a perfect example actually. Like when I say like stage content, like you can do tricks like this. Like this photo that I'll flash up now, it looks like everyone's like reaching up, and all I did, or all the photographer did, I think I was standing next to the photographer. I just held up a box of pizzas and said, "Who wants pizza?" And then you get that photo where everyone's reaching out, right? So you can do little tricks like that, just like stage content so that it looks better. Cool. So that is what I would do. That would be my 16-step master plan to launch my first event. If you guys have any clarifying questions, chuck them in the comments below. I also put my Instagram in the YouTube description. I respond to pretty much every single message that I get. And sometimes not really, I mostly just post personal stuff on my Instagram. I don't really promote anything. So other than that, have fun. If you have clarifying questions, chuck them below. I'll see you in the next video.